years ago on this spot. I'm going to tell you about one of them. Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
Yes.
The kind of man you want to know. Selfless acts of courage were his destiny. Elevate a man at the Triangle Factory. I'm going to ask you to sing it with me. Ready? After me. Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
The kind of man you wanna know.
The kind of man you wanna know.
Selfless acts of courage were his destiny.
Selfless acts of courage were his destiny.
Elevate a man, Triangle Factory.
Elevate a man, Triangle Factory.
Born the 1st of September, 1883, 15 minutes past 10. Giuseppe Alessandro Zito, sweet green eyes, he'd grow to be the strongest of men. At 18, he left Sere, Provincia di Salerno, Italy. Came to America, got a job at the Triangle Factory. Joe ran one of 2 passenger elevator cars. The other was run by a man named Gaspare Motilalo. But factory workers were treated as freight. Backdoor elevators took their 500 bodies up to floors 9 and 8. Joe and Gaspare brought to the executive floor bosses, 4 ladies and buyers, and in twin bowler hats, the Shirtwaist kings, union busters, door lockers, and liars. Then one payday in March, a Saturday night, 15 minutes to quittin' time. All hell broke loose when Joe heard fire! Glass smashing, fist bashing, way up high. Joe glanced over at Gaspare, and they locked eyes. And without a single word, they pulled their elevator cars up into the fast, fast fire, up high in the sky. Up to save lives. All the workers were screaming, distraught. Joe Zito never gave his own safety one single thought. Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
The kind of man you wanna know.
The kind of man you wanna know.
Selfless acts of courage, his destiny.
Selfless acts of courage were his destiny.
Elevate a man, Triangle Factory.
Elevator man, Triangle Factory.
Girls dove into Joe's elevator car, clutching fabric, shears, and scissors. Another guy would have minded his own business. But Italian-American to the core, Joe Zito never ran for the door. Up, Joe, into fire, higher and higher he climbed. He went back up about 18 times. Why didn't he go up a 19th, you say? Mezzamort, at the bottom of the shaft, our Joe lay. Elevator dropped, smashed at basement level. Cables gave into fire, an overloading hellhole. Jumping on Joe's car, girls after girls after girls after girls, caving the roof, flesh on fire, hair in ribbons and curls. They dragged Joe out onto Washington Place, where you sit, half dead, and rushed him to St. Vincent's Hospital. Stab wounds on his arms and forehead. And whatever happened to Gaspare? He was last seen running down the street in the smoke-filled Laria. Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
The kind of man you wanna know.
The kind of man you wanna know.
Selfless acts of courage, his destiny.
Selfless acts of courage, his destiny.
Elevator man, triangle factory.
Elevator man, triangle factory.
Povero Giuseppe Alessandro never recovered since he saw burning rockets from the 8th floor fall. He couldn't forget girls trapped in flames, or Judge Crane and his gavel saying, "Shirtwaist kings are not to blame." Joe left New York City in a state of deprivation, shell-shocked from triangle workers, asphyxiation and decapitations. Scarred for life from all he saw, Joe headed west, and 7 years later, registered for the army during the Great War. No rich man could buy Joe's word. His green, sad eyes had saw and heard. All the papers said Joe died without a penny, and no bribe could change Joe's testimony. Ah, the Shirtwaist Kings were offering $1,000 bribes while the U.S. economy was taking the great dive. But Joe kept free to tell the truth, and the Shirtwaist Kings got rich off insurance loot. And like too many of our brave, our noble Joe Zito was buried in an unmarked grave. Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
Let me tell you about Joe Zito.
Italian-American hero.
Italian hero.
Selfless acts of courage, his destiny.
Selfless acts of courage, his destiny.
He saved 150.
He saved 150.
Elevator man, we sing your name. Thanks, Joe. 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 And we vow not to be bystanders. Bystanders no more. Like Joe, we gotta do something. Blast. Blast. Shatter. Big blast.
Thank you very much, Annie, and certainly to Hannah. You've heard her mention several times Joe Zito. Well, if you don't know who Joe Zito is, I want to tell you who he is, because I've seen the HBO movie 4 times, and you need to see it also. And it's coming on a special tomorrow night at 11 p.m. on CNN. And if you miss it there, you'll have another opportunity to see it on HBO. But Joe Zito was the man who went up and down in that elevator, carrying those workers down to safety. He was an extraordinary hero in this extraordinary event. Give a hand for Joe Zito and for Annie, for her and Hannah for their work. Thank you very much. Our next performer is Karen Server, a classically trained singer. Karen